Hello everyone and welcome back to Blockbuster Reviews, which is your favorite place for the coolest reviews of the hottest things. So this week we're going to be analyzing the movie Anyone But You, and in this video we're going to look at the story of the movie, how well it did at the box office, and whether or not you should be spending your money and time watching this movie. Now, Anyone But You was released on the 29th of December 2023, and it rapidly became one of the most successful romantic comedies to be released and one of the biggest blockbusters in 2024 so far. The movie owes its success to William Shakespeare's play Much Ado About Nothing. The movie is a sort of a loose adaptation of that play. And the movie is divided into three parts or three acts. In the first act, the boy and the girl fall in love with each other, meeting each other in very unusual and unexpected circumstances. In the second act, they are driven away from one another due to a misunderstanding that happens between the two. And in the third act, they are brought together on a destination wedding 2 years after they initially met, and that is where they fall in love with one another again. The cast of this movie includes Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, who play the central characters. And interestingly, Sydney Sweeney, who was 26 years old, is also the executive producer of this project, this movie. I was interested in knowing, when I was doing research about the movie, about which one of these two characters or which one of these two actors had contributed more to the success of the movie. And what I found was that one day before uploading this video, Sydney Sweeney had been hit 102,223 times on Wikipedia and regarding this movie, and Glenn Powell had been hit only 27,700 times. So Sydney Sweeney is actually the most popular actor in this movie and the greatest contributor to its success. Also, obviously, the movie revolves around her. The movie scores. According to Metacritic.com, 26 professional and established critics have given this movie an aggregate total of 52 out of 100 or 5.2 out of 10. And 61 users of the website have given it a 5.4 out of 10. Normally what happens is that the users generally give a little bit higher rating than the critics. It's not a pet rule, but that's generally what happens. IMDb has given it a 6.4 out of 10. Empire has given it 2.2 out of 5, and Rotten Tomatoes have given it a 53%. 1,066 people on Google have given it a 3.7 out of 5. But interestingly, 89% of the people who have seen this movie on Google have given it a thumbs up, which means that they like the movie. So let's see how the movie is done at the box office. At the box office, the movie has domestically in the US made $85 million, $104 million internationally, and that brings the total to $189 million. Now the question is, are these figures good? Are they impressive? Are they bad? What are they? How do we know whether $189 million grossing is good for the movie? We actually have to see the production budget for that. The production cost of the movie was $25 million. So if you subtract $25 million from $189 million, you get $164 million of profit. And that is phenomenal for any movie, especially for a romantic comedy. Now, this is a graph that shows how well the movie has been performing at the box office. Now, if you see this graph, it's very, very different from a normal graph that comes out for any movie that's released in Hollywood. Normally, the first weekend or the second weekend, the movie jumps up in sales and then flattens out across the life of the movie. But here, something very different, very interesting is happening, is that the movie does not start very well, but gradually keeps on progressing and keeps on making money over a period of 8.3 weeks, which is more than 2.5 months. The movie just keeps on making more money. It's very interesting and a very unusual phenomena for Hollywood. Now, if you see, the movie started at $6 million on the first weekend. Given these figures, it seemed like the movie was going to be a total disaster at the box office, but it turned out to be only 7% of the overall aggregate gross of the movie. Over a lifetime, the movie has made, as we discussed, $189 million, which is 760% of the production cost of the movie. So these figures are very, very impressive. 45% of the income of the movie comes from the US box office, and 55% of the income comes from the international market. The movie was a wide release. It was released in 3,055 cinemas and was released worldwide. Now, there is one very interesting theory that people give, is that the international box office collection may have come from Australia, because the destination wedding that they're showing is happening in Australia. So much of the movie is shot in Australia. And so people thought that maybe a larger percentage of that $104 million comes from the Australian viewership. So this is a breakdown of all the territories, especially the top 10 territories where the movie has made money. And here we see that Australia, while yes, is number one, and that does validate the theory a little bit, but it's only made $13.5 million dollars with the Australian audience. $13.5 million dollars out of $104 million dollars of the total international gross is only like 11 or 12%. So this means that the movie was actually globally accepted and liked by audiences all around the world. This is the ranking for the movie. We have at the domestic box office, the movie making ranking at 977, at the worldwide box office 976, and at the international box office 1044. Now, it may seem like these figures are not very impressive. Something ranking at 1,000 out of all the movies that have ever been released doesn't seem like very impressive, but it really is. Because if you look at this graph shows the red line is showing the ticket sales of only romantic comedies, and the blue line shows the ticket sales of all the genres of all the Hollywood movies that are released. And you can see from the gap, especially that comes in 2011, that this movie, the romantic comedy sector, had not been doing very well. In fact, it had been plummeting downwards. And here, 2023, at the end of it, this upward spike is caused only because of this movie. So the larger percentage of the aggregate overall ticket sales were actually coming from the sale of this movie alone. And that is something very impressive. So, what is the verdict on this movie? There's some good points about this movie and some bad points about the movie. The good points are that the movie is very sweet, it's very warm, it has an emotional overtone that you can't ignore, and the characters are very likable. Their chemistry online is very, very good. In fact, there was a little bit of a scandal that had arisen because their chemistry was so good that people thought they were actually having an affair offline as well. But the good thing is that the movie has the characters have this authenticity about them, and you can really relate to them, and really they're both very likable, and they've actually done a really good acting job. The bad points are that there's a lot of F bombs in the movie. For some reason, this is going on, that F this and F that and F you and F. I don't know why they've done that, but for whatever reason it is, that makes the movie a little bit uncomfortable to watch with your parents or with your children. And it is not a family movie because there's some sex scenes and all of that. So, you know, but generally speaking, the movie is very good. So my final verdict is that you should go out and watch the movie. I thought that the movie was worth watching at least once. So I hope you enjoyed the review, and we'll see you next time with a book review. Thank you very much for watching.